a friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction being yo 656. In that neighborhood, my brothers and sisters. It is that time to get into another one of these true crime, horror, dark, deep, and mysterious what the is going on type of videos. And we're about to go back to who? Lazy Masquerade. Back to the lazy man already, y'all. He just put out a video last week, and then this week, surprisingly, he put out a new video, and we're about to check it out. And the title of it is 5 Disturbing Cases That Will Make You Question Humanity, as if you needed more reasons. Now, I like that last part, y'all, of the title that he got in parentheses, as if you needed more reasons, because me personally, and I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all out there on the Bean team don't need no more freaking reason to question humanity. But hey, the lazy man about to give us 5 more, y'all, and we're about to get into it. But before we get into it, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need, please. We are back to the lazy Masquerade. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's go. The lazy.
In this episode, we'll be diving into a handful of lesser-known cases from around the world that are bound to make you question your faith in humanity, as if you needed any more reasons. But before we get into them, a quick word from today's sponsor, Raycon.
Lazy man starting off with his commercial, as per usual. Shout out to Raycon, shout out to the lazy man. Look at the lazy, there go the lazy, y'all. Shout out to Raycons and all that good stuff. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas, Bean Team. This is I got a feeling this one is about to be crazy, y'all. I'm like really hyped. Let me go back again. Let's go.
That's right. You'll get up to 25% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/masquerade. A retired cop, a local councillor, a model husband, and a father of 2. Watching Francois Verove on the French game show Everyone Wants to Take His Place, you'd have no reason to suspect he was anything but upstanding. Indeed, he'd served in the National Gendarmerie, worked as a motorcyclist in the Republican Guard, and became an officer in Paris's National Police Force. Serving, protecting, deceiving. Hidden behind Francois's friendly mask was the worst type of monster there is. The type that can hide in plain sight. But let's rewind a bit. For decades, French authorities have been hunting an elusive serial killer known as Le Grêlé. In English, the pockmarked man. Between 1986 and 1994, he'd attacked and taken the lives of at least 3 people, though the true number is believed to be much higher. His first confirmed victim was 11-year-old Cécile Bloch, who he had dragged from an elevator in her Parisian apartment building into a room in the basement. There, he slaughtered her and wrapped her up in a carpet. Then came electrician Gilles Politi and au pair Imgard Müller, 38 and 20 respectively. who were both found in an apartment in the Marais district of Paris. Gilles was positioned face down, with his arms and legs tightly bound in a choke lace. Nearby, Irmgard's body had been placed upright against the frame of a bunk bed, her throat slashed by a blade. Both had been burned with cigarettes prior to their slayings. DNA found on Irmgard's body matched perfectly with the sample found on Cécile Bloch 11 months prior, confirming that this was the work of the same individual.
And this serial killer has no freaking preference or standards or nothing. You know what I'm saying? From children to women to men, this serial killer just out to freaking kill. Long story short, short story long.
Numerous others survived their encounter with Legrellet. They described him as having a face covered in acne scars, hence his nickname. In most cases, he'd flashed a police badge at his victims to coerce them either into his vehicle or a nearby apartment, only to then handcuff them and leave them at his mercy. Leading investigators knew that Legrellet had to be one of their own. There were too many telltale signs. The unsub had displayed a police badge, had used law enforcement equipment such as handcuffs and walkie-talkies, and spoke in recognizable police jargon. Not to mention, he'd reportedly demonstrated an advanced understanding of investigative procedures which he had leveraged to evade capture. Legrellet's last confirmed attack also happened to occur in Saclay, a location near a gendarmerie training center. Despite having a comprehensive description of the perp and disseminating this ephit, the French authorities had a hard time rooting out the snake among their ranks, which seems odd given his distinctive scars. Still, years elapsed, and though several other cases were linked to Legrellet, his spree came to a sudden end sometime around the late 90s, when he seemingly turned inactive, either due to old age, boredom, a change in lifestyle, or an early grave. But despite the passing of time, detectives never gave up on bringing Legrellet to justice. In 2019, more than 3 decades after Legrellet's first kill, newly retired officer Francois Verove appeared on State Channel France 2 as a game show contestant. Laughing and joking with host Nagui Pham, Francois seemed like an ordinary character, entertaining the audience as he answered general knowledge questions and explaining how now that he was retired, he spent most of his free time keeping walkers safe in Paris parks. He appeared completely normal, charming even, but behind his smile lurked a dark truth. In an effort to unmask Legrellet, an investigating judge who took over the case ordered the summons of 750 officers who had been active in the Ile-de-France region during the original crime spree, requesting DNA samples from each individual guardsman. On September 24th, 2021, 2 years after his television debut, Francois Verove received his summons via telephone and promptly fled his home in Le Grand-Amont.
Wow.
That's because he knew what the DNA results would show.
Yup, like he just showed that he was guilty right then. You know what I'm saying? They telling you to come in and do a DNA test or whatever, and you just completely skip town. Oh, guess what? It gotta be you then, the one who freaking did this ish. And it's so effed up too, y'all, because this happened like the last known murder that he committed was way back in 94, I think the lazy man said, and now it's 2019 when he was on that TV show. Like, long story short, story long, it just effed up that he got away with this for all these freaking years. I be hating that. I'm still happy he ended up getting caught, but I just hate the fact that he was able to live so freely for all those freaking years.
Rather than face what most would call justice, but what he'd call humiliation, Francois had instead rented an apartment in the coastal town of Le Grau-de-Roy, where he ended his own existence on September 29th, 2021. DNA extracted from his remains matched perfectly with the specimens found on the confirmed Legrellet victims. The pockmarked man had finally been identified. In a note found at the scene, the 59-year-old confessed to the horrors that he had committed, explaining that he was consumed by an uncontrollable mad rage. He admitted, quote, "I am a great criminal who committed unforgivable acts until the end of the 90s. There were times when I couldn't stand it, and I had to destroy, sully, kill someone innocent." The letter was addressed to his wife, with whom he had shared a seemingly normal life, raising 2 children. The note claimed that he had committed these atrocities under dark impulses, which he suppressed when he started his family. He claimed that he hadn't committed a crime since 1997, hinting that there are potentially many more victims that the authorities still don't know about.
Yep.
Detectives believe that Francois may have committed more than 9 killings, including those of 23-year-old Sophie Narn, who was slain in an apartment building she was showing in 1991, and 19-year-old Corinne Leroy, whose lifeless body was found in a forest near her residence. Francois' double life went unnoticed by those closest to him. His wife had never suspected that her husband, the former cop, could be the cold-blooded monster who had terrified Paris for so many years. His friends described him as a gentleman to everyone, and never suspected he was capable of committing such atrocities, though they did admit that he could get angry easily. It's both sad and unsettling that monsters like Francois choose to abuse their authority and take advantage of those that they've sworn to protect. And worse, that he was able to turn up for work the next day with a smile on his pockmarked face. That he was so comfortable with his crimes that he was able to appear on television using his real name without a care in the world, only bothering to disguise himself by growing a beard to hide his pockmarks. Thankfully, Legrelli can never harm another person again, but it still makes you question how he went undetected for so long. Stay vigilant, because the unfortunate reality is that there are plenty of other Francois out there. People walking around in the daylight, hiding the darkest of secrets. People you'd never expect.
People you will never expect, being seen. Like, that one got a lot of different layers that just effed up about it. You can point to the fact that this was a police officer. The ones who's supposed to protect and serve us abused his power to actually kill people. Like, what the freak? Then you look at it, the point of, think about his wife, y'all. Like, put yourself in the wife's shoes. Or if you're a man, think about it from this is your wife who committed these freaking murders. And all these damn years, you done had kids with this person. You believe this person is a child of God. You know what I'm saying? You love this person. And then you find out that this mother then murdered over 9 people that we know about. You know what I'm saying, man? That's a crazy way to look at it, too. It's like, dude, I just hate the fact. I just go back to the fact that he got away with it for so many years. And then y'all already know I hate this fact too. The fact that he ended up unaliving himself before the police can get a hold of him. I hate when these murderers do that. It pees me off to the 3rd degree, to the 100th degree, being seen. Like, seriously, man, it pissed me the fuck off, because it's like, dude, I want you to face those consequences for the crimes that you committed. You did the crime, you got to do the time. But in their head, they think, okay, and I think he had been thinking about this because he had a lot of years to think about these murders he had committed. So I think that he was thinking, like, if I ever get caught, or if it's ever a chance that I am going to be caught, before I get caught, I'm going to end up ending my own life. Now, this is where my faith kick in at. I believe in a God, being seen. Y'all know I believe in God, and I just pray to God, and I hope that God has gave Francois to this day, as I'm speaking right now, what the freak he deserved for what he did while he was here on earth. And one more thing, and we're gonna move on. The part about when he was saying in his note, he was saying that the note he left behind, he was talking about how he just went into a fit of rage and he ended up doing this and all that. I mean, okay, I would believe it more. Still wouldn't make it no better. But I would believe that ish more if he just had killed one person on one night or something. Dude, you was doing it for years, for a decade, over a decade, 86 to 97, from what we know. You know what I'm saying? That ain't no fit of rage for a day. So you mean to tell me you was in a rage-filled, murderous mindset for freaking 11 at least years? I ain't never seen nobody be that goddamn mad for that goddamn long. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like that was BS too. The whole thing is BS, y'all. But it's crazy. I never heard of that story before. And it is one of the ones that make you question humanity. Like, Jesus Christ, the ones who supposed to be protecting and serving us, we can't even trust them around here. We got to question them. Let's go.
In January 2022, 32-year-old Brandon O'Quinn Raspberry had just begun settling into life in Nixon, a small town in Gonzales County, Texas. He'd been working at Holmes Food for 3 months, and had only recently moved into the Lazy J RV Park and Ranch, where he had been staying for just 4 days. Tragically, his time there was cut short. On January 18th of that year, after Brandon failed to show up for work for 2 consecutive days, his concerned boss contacted the RV park owner. Said owner tried repeatedly to get a response from Brandon, but received no answer. Eventually, they entered his motorhome, uncovering a grim scene. Brandon sprawled out lifeless on his bed, with a small hole in his skull. Forensic teams meticulously searched the RV for evidence, sending crucial items to the Austin Crime Lab for analysis. Investigators also issued search warrants to trace Brandon's cell phone activity and any other devices nearby during the suspected time of the crime. An autopsy by the Travis County Medical Examiner revealed that Brandon had been shot in the head at close range. The report estimated that he had been dead for approximately 2 days before his body was discovered. In spite of these findings, investigators uncovered no leads. Brandon's killer seemed to have vanished without a trace. Fast forward to April 2024, over 2 years later. A troubling incident at the Nixon Smiley Independent School District unexpectedly reignited the case. An elementary student had threatened another child on a school bus, saying that he would end them. Alarmed, the school conducted a threat assessment and contacted law enforcement. When a deputy arrived to investigate, the situation took a shocking turn. Instead of admitting that he had threatened the other child, the boy allegedly confessed to something far more sinister. He claimed to have killed a man 2 years earlier.
Okay, this is crazy, man. I thought that what Lazy Man was going with it, but I was like, no, ain't no way a freaking little child about to admit to commit a murder of a freaking adult. How did he even do this? Well, we know how he did it. He shot him in the head. A little child? That is crazy.
Taking that statement seriously, investigators recalled the unsolved case of Brandon Raspberry and brought the boy in for a forensic interview at a child advocacy center. During the interview, the youngster provided chilling details about the crime, describing Brandon's slaying in a way that only someone with first-hand knowledge could. The boy revealed that on January 16th, 2022, he had visited his grandfather, who lived a few lots away from Brandon in the Lazy J RV park. While exploring his grandfather's truck, he found a handgun which he described as dirt and army green in the glove compartment, and decided on a whim to use it. Taking the weapon, he selected Brandon's RV at random and quietly entered. Inside, he saw Brandon asleep in his bed. Without hesitation, the boy tiptoed over and shot Brandon once in the head at point-blank range. Before leaving, he fired a second shot into the couch, then calmly returned the gun to the glove box of the truck. Perhaps the most disturbing detail was the fact that the boy didn't even know Brandon personally and had no motive for ending his life. When asked if Brandon had ever wronged him or made him angry, the boy simply replied, no. He just wanted to see what would happen, what it felt like. On April 12th, 2024, investigators found that same pistol at a pawn shop in Seguin, Texas. The boy's grandfather had sold it. Forensic analysis confirmed that the gun matched the 2 shell casings recovered from Brandon's RV, proving that it was the weapon used to end his life. Due to the boy's age, only 7 at the time of the incident, he couldn't be charged with murder under Texas law, which holds that children under 10 can't be held criminally accountable. The child was placed in emergency psychiatric detention for 72 hours and later taken into custody for making a threat on the school bus.
Hold on, y'all. I had to rewind it just so I can read this, man, because this right here is I don't know. I think I talked about this a couple of reactions earlier from this, like last week, man. One of my recent reactions, it was a child who committed some effed up ish. But let's just read this real quick. The now 10-year-old is awaiting a court date for making a threat on the school bus, but will not be charged in connection with Brandon's slaying. He remains in the custody of the Gonzales County Juvenile Probation Department. But this the part of it that just get me, man, and I just don't know how to feel about it. But will not be charged in connection with Brandon slaying. 7 years old being team. That little boy ain't know what the freak he was doing, and I ain't trying to make no excuses, man. It's just, we all know at 7 years old, well, he knew what he was doing, but he didn't really know. His brain haven't developed into a adult to really know what the freak he was doing. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, damn. So Brandon just gone, and there is nobody who can face no type of consequences, no nothing. Like his life just gone and just wasted from a little freaking child who did some horrible ish. And I'm not even saying blame the grandfather, but I will say this, man. If this story don't teach us as adults more than anything to make sure that you lock your weapons away, I remember what it was now. It was the that chapter story that we watched recently. With the I think her name was Carly Gregg. If you know, you know what I'm talking about, man. How she went into her mama room and got the gun out the drawer and walked back into her room where her mama was and shot her in the head. No, she shot her twice in the face or some craziness. It's like, and Carly was like 13, 14 or something. But this is even crazier because he was 7. And I'm not even mad at that law that that Texas got, like children under the age of 10 can't be charged with murder. Like, I'm not mad at it, but I feel like we got to come up with a better solution, and we just got to do better as humans. What the freaking title say again? Cases that will make you question humanity, and this one right here is making me really like question a lot of different things, man. Like, it was just a random. It was not even like he even knew Brandon, hated him, or had any sort of animosity or anything, man. Oh my God, y'all. That one right there got me because I just don't, I don't know how to really feel about it. I feel sad for Brandon, of course, but as far as the 10-year-old, I don't know if I should be like wishing something bad on him, or maybe I should just be wishing that he get help, or I don't know, being team. Let's just go, man. Let's just freaking go. Those kids, man, committing these murders, it's hard, man. It is really, really hard to even fathom and think about. It makes you question humanity. Let's go.
2 hours, and later taken into custody for making a threat on the school bus. Sulfuran Osman Zulkarnain was a young Malaysian man who had dreamed of serving his country from a young age, and after graduating from secondary school, took his first step toward achieving that goal by enrolling at the National Defence University of Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur. His mother, Hawa Osman, had expressed concerns about his decision. Her reluctance stemmed from challenges that her late brother had faced during his military career, and horror stories that she had heard from other young recruits. Despite this, Sulfuran pursued his dream, making sure to stay in regular contact with his family to put their minds at ease. In his 3rd year, though, something happened. A fellow cadet, Muhammad Akmal Zahari Azmal, accused Sulfuran of stealing his laptop, a claim that was completely unfounded. Despite Sulfuran's repeated denials, Akmal refused to believe him. Seeking validation, Akmal enlisted the help of a Bomo, a traditional healer, or, if you like, charlatan, who falsely claimed through visions that Sulfuran was the thief. This only escalated the situation, leading to the horrors which would follow. On May 21st, 2017, Akmal, along with a dozen or so other classmates loyal to him, confined Sulfuran at the university dormitory and began beating him, demanding a confession. Even in the face of mounting aggression, Sulfuran maintained his innocence. The next day, on May 22nd, the situation worsened. 6 individuals, led by Akmal, restrained Sulfuran and used a steam iron to inflict burns across his entire body, including his most vulnerable areas.
God damn, y'all doing all this to him over a freaking laptop? Like, seriously, even if he did steal it, now y'all you going past just wanting to get some revenge or make him feel some pain, to y'all going to the point where y'all about to kill this damn man. over a freaking laptop, and I don't even think he stole it either. I don't know what Akmal on about, but I feel like he is the boy who crying freaking wolf right now and got his friends believing the ish too.
Despite the extreme pain, Zulfirin continued to deny stealing the laptop. The torture lasted for hours, leaving him covered in burns. For days following the assault, Zulfirin didn't attend class or training due to his deteriorating condition. On May 27th, he was brought to a clinic by 4 of the 6 main culprits. Unable to speak for himself, the group falsely told the doctor that Zulfirin had been caught in an explosion during a training exercise. Alarmed by the severity of the burns, the doctor urged them to take Zulfirin to the hospital and even wrote a referral letter. However, his advice was ignored, and the group brought Zulfirin back to the barracks, where they kept him hidden from view. 2 of Zulfirin's closest friends attempted to help him by anonymously sending letters to the warden, fearing that they might become the next targets of scolding if they approached him directly. Unfortunately, their efforts went ignored, and the warden failed to take any action. When Zulfirin returned to the clinic on May 31st, he was visibly weaker, dehydrated and in pain. Accompanied this time by Akmal and one of his accomplices, he refused to go to hospital, likely under threat of violence, and only asked for his wounds to be cleaned and bandaged. The following day, on June 1st, one of the perpetrators called for an ambulance after finding Zulfirin unresponsive. The 20-year-old was pronounced dead at Serdang Hospital the following day, his body swollen beyond belief. The forensic pathologist who examined Zulfirin reported 90 burn marks, 29 of which were 3rd degree and so severe that they exposed wet muscle tissue. She concluded that these injuries caused heart swelling and kidney failure, ultimately resulting in death. Zulfirin's passing, now classified as a homicide, sent shockwaves through Malaysia. It's believed that 20 to 30 students may have been involved in the attack, but authorities identified 19 students, aged between 20 and 21, as the main perpetrators. On June 14, 2017, 6 students were charged with first-degree murder under Section 302 of the Malaysian Penal Code, which carries the mandatory death penalty. They were the aforementioned ringleader, Akmal, and his 5 closest cronies, Azamuddin Mad Sofi, Najib Modrazi, Afif Najmuddin Azad, Shobarin Sabri, and Abdul Hakim Modali. Another 13 students, whose identities were withheld, were charged under Section 330 for voluntarily causing hurt to force a confession. All 19 suspects pleaded not guilty. The main 6 had their charges reduced and were sentenced to a mere 13 years behind bars. They were seen laughing and smiling as they left court following the verdict. Later, a 3-judge panel at the Court of Appeal, helmed by Justice Hadaria Saeed Ismail, unanimously decided that only the death penalty could address the case's gravity, and that the 6 men were to be sent to the gallows.
And I agree 100% with them, especially after you see that footage of them walking out after they got their 13 years. Now they all giggling and smiling and acting like it's all fun and games. Y'all done killed this freaking man over a damn fucking laptop. You know what I'm saying? Give they ass the death penalty. At least these 6. It's crazy so many people was involved in this freaking torture of this guy. But at least them 6, man, I don't give a fuck. Now, this is completely different than the case before that with the little 7-year-old child. I ain't got no remorse, no feelings about these motherfuckers. Give their ass what they freaking deserve. They know better.
Their capital sentence is yet to be carried out. In addition, all but one of the remaining 13 defendants were found guilty of intentionally causing injury to coerce a confession from Zulfirin. Their original punishments were also increased, from 3 to 4 years apiece. The one student who was acquitted, Akmal Akif, was one of Zulfirin's closest friends, and had been one of the 2 cadets to send a letter to the warden. The other suspects had learned about the letter, and, holding a grudge, falsely implicated him in Zulfirin's slaying.
Wow.
After a long ordeal, Akmal was able to prove his innocence, and was finally released in 2019. Human rights groups continue to campaign to save the lives of the 6 condemned men. In response, Zulfirin's parents condemned their advocacy for leniency, accusing them of failing to acknowledge the inhumane torture inflicted on their son, while championing mercy for the perpetrators. They also declined to meet the families of the convicted, stating that it was too late for apologies, seeing how no apologies were offered during the trial. The incident, of course, affected his family immensely, so much so that none of them can even look at a steam iron, let alone use one. Zulfarin's story remains a powerful reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked cruelty, especially in institutions meant to foster discipline and camaraderie, where herd mentality can quickly take over. The National Defense University of Malaysia has since gained notoriety, with it now colloquially being referred to as the Hell School.
That was a freaking hell school, and I hope and pray that at least those six go to fucking hell. You know what I'm saying, man? Give them the death penalty. Point blank, period, y'all. I hope that's one of those ones where the lazy man come and give us an update one day on a year from now, 2 years, 3 years. I don't freaking care, because it's like, dude, it's like I said, I was surprised when he said it was like said to be 19 people in total who actually started torturing this dude at one point in time. But it's like it was this gang mentality, this group mentality of you know how when you was a little child in like elementary school and stuff, being team, and when this one kid that getting picked on, and I done been that kid before at the playground when I still remember it to this day, man. It was a girl who started she was flirting with me, but I didn't know at the time. Like, she was fighting me, but not fighting like that. But she was like bigger than me too. But she really liked me, but I didn't know. But she was fighting me, man, and she ended up grabbing my jacket and she ripped it off and threw it down. And before I know it, a lot of other people started coming over there jumping on me too. It was like jump on stack at the playground day. You know what I'm saying, man? And I feel like, I know that probably was a bad example, but I'm just saying, man, you know how it be the mentality of people where they see you doing something evil, then somebody else decide to do something evil, and now it's a whole group of y'all. Everybody like, that's the cool thing to do. Let's torture Zephyrin. Like, that's the cool thing in this frat house. I know it wasn't a frat house, but I'm just comparing it to that, or calling it that, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's the cool thing to do around here. Burn Zephyrin till he freaking die. Now y'all need to face the consequences, especially those 6. Long story short, short story long. Let's go, y'all. We got 2 more to go. So far, so good with the lazy man.
Dr. Thomas Kwan was the kind of man who seemed to blend seamlessly into the fabric of society. A 53-year-old general practitioner from Sunderland, England, living a quiet, suburban life with his wife and young son in an affluent neighbourhood. A trusted member of his community who had helped countless people overcome illness. But despite having a respectable and well-paying job, behind closed waiting room doors, the good doctor was formulating a twisted plan to eliminate a man he believed stood between him and a small fortune. The target of Thomas's elaborate scheme was Patrick O'Hara, his mother's partner of 20 years. The source of Thomas's resentment? A will his mother, Jenny Lung, had written in 2021. It stipulated that her home couldn't be sold without Patrick's consent if she passed away first, a stipulation that enraged Thomas, whose sense of entitlement to his inheritance had already strained their relationship. The bitterness festered, and came to a head when Thomas forced his way into his mother's home, prompting a police call. Although no charges were filed, the incident deepened the growing rift between mother and son. It seemed that in order to get his hands on his money, Thomas needed to take his de facto father-in-law, Patrick, out of the picture. And being a doctor, old Tommy here decided to use his medical expertise to orchestrate an elaborate murder that would appear natural and undetectable.
Here we go again, Bean Team. Here we go again with people who out here who's supposed to be protecting. Well, I ain't gonna say protect in this case, but I'm talking about the first case. You know, you had the cop who was supposed to be protecting and serving. Now, this is a freaking doctor who's supposed to potentially help save your life or heal you from your wounds or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's supposed to help you, and they using their expertise to end up ending you. That's crazy, man. You never know, man. You never know, man. You never know who is out here a murderer, Bean Team. Remember that.
In January 2024, he began weaving his intricate web of deceit. Using NHS-headed paper, Thomas drafted a letter under the name Mr. Raj Patel of the Community Associated Nursing Team, offering Patrick a home visit for a COVID booster jab. The letter even included a QR code linking to a professional-looking questionnaire, complete with a scheduled appointment of January 22nd. Trusting the legitimacy of the letter, Patrick accepted the offer. Meanwhile, Thomas meticulously prepared for their fateful meeting. He booked a room at a hotel under a false name and drove there in the family car, outfitted with fake license plates. Disguising himself as a nurse, he donned a mask, tinted glasses, a hat, and a long coat. A recovered photo from his computer showed that he had also experimented with a wig, false beard, and moustache. He even created this fake NHS ID to fool passers-by that he was Raj Patel, a man who didn't actually exist. The whole charade would have been laughable had his next move not been so sinister. On the morning of the appointment, Patrick answered the door, welcoming Nurse Raj into the house, and even calling out to Thomas's mother that the NHS man had arrived. The disguised Thomas played his part flawlessly, taking Patrick's blood pressure and collecting blood and urine samples in the lead-up to the big finale. In an unsettling twist, Thomas's mother asked for her blood pressure to be checked too. Oblivious to the truth, she didn't recognize her son, and even chatted about her medication. When it came time for the booster jab, Thomas injected Patrick with a chemical believed to be a never-before-used substance, sourced from the secretive Porton Down weapons lab. The injection caused searing pain, prompting Patrick to cry out, "Bloody hell!" Thomas, maintaining his act, reassured him in a fake Indian accent that the pain was normal. As Thomas prepared to leave, his mother remarked, "My, Nurse Raj, you're just the same height as my son." That statement immediately made Patrick feel uneasy. He looked out onto the street and watched as Thomas, or Raj, left, wondering whether he should call him back for a closer look. But the moment passed.
I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I just feel that is very freaking crazy. I don't know what the lazy man said. His mama had some type of health condition, or she was a lot older or something. But all I'm saying is, man, and I know a lot of y'all feel this way too. I don't give a damn what type of mask or disguise, whatever I put on. My mama gonna know I'm her goddamn son. You know what I'm saying, man? Like, my mama gonna know that there go Stack, there go the Bean, there go my baby. You know what I'm saying, man? She gonna know who the freak I am regardless. It's crazy that the mama did not realize that was her freaking son who had on a freaking mustache and some glasses or whatever. It's crazy, man. I wish she did know though. And the audacity of him to come do this inside her home to this his stepdaddy, his father-in-law, or whatever. Wow.
Unbeknownst to Patrick, the chemical in the syringe would soon wreak havoc upon him. The injection site developed burns and blisters before evolving into necrotizing fasciitis, a deadly, flesh-eating disease. Now experiencing intense pain, Patrick sought help. Surgeons fought desperately to stop the infection, cutting away diseased flesh to save the pensioner's life. Thankfully, Patrick did survive, and the incident set off an investigation that would expose Thomas's sinister plot. 2 weeks later, Thomas was arrested. He refused to answer police questions, but ominously warned them to exercise caution when searching his garage. There, investigators discovered vials of mercury, arsenic, thallium, sulfuric acid, and even ingredients for ricin. On Thomas's computer hard drive, they also uncovered a treasure trove of incriminating evidence, including documents titled Guidance on Homicide Investigations, Instructions on Making Ricin from Castor Beans, a recipe for sodium cyanide, and 10 poisons used to kill people. Police later discovered that Thomas had installed spyware on a computer at his mother's home, enabling him to monitor emails, internet searches, and even film the couple as they used it. Initially, Thomas admitted to only administering a noxious substance, claiming he intended to cause Patrick no more than mild irritation. However, as the prosecution's case unfolded, it became clear the evidence against him was overwhelming. Newcastle Crown Court heard that the substance he used was something only a knowledgeable poisoner would select, designed to avoid detection and complicate treatment. After hearing the opening arguments against him, Thomas changed his plea to guilty in hopes of leniency. he was sentenced to 31 years and 5 months behind bars. The revelation of Thomas's double life stunned those who knew him. To his patients and neighbours, he was an unassuming family man living on the edges of a quiet estate. Yet beneath the surface, he harboured a cold, calculating nature that led him to plan the slaying of a man he deemed an obstacle. Thomas Kwan's story is a chilling reminder of how greed can corrupt even those in positions of trust, leading an otherwise respectable GP to break his Hippocratic oath and become a would-be killer. Though thankfully, Thomas wasn't the mastermind he thought he was.
Facts, man. Facts. He wasn't the mastermind that he thought he was. That damn drug he used on his father-in-law didn't work. And I'm so happy that the father-in-law did survive. But just hearing all the different things he had in his garage being team, all those different chemicals and stuff. I'm talking about stuff literally, if you touch it, it'll just start eating your freaking hand away. You know what I'm saying? Them acids and all that craziness, man. This dude was freaking crazy. And the lazy man said what I had been saying and trying to say. And he said in a more eloquent way than I did, man, when he was just like, the people that are in positions that you should be trusting out here are the ones sometimes that you can't freaking trust. That dude there, man, what the freak? All for some fucking money. It's crazy what people go through. And I ain't saying he should have did this, but I'm saying if he really wanted to kill them to get that money, or just kill that dude to get the money, whatever, he could have did it a lot easier. He made the job harder than what it needed to be, so to speak, man. I ain't advocating for him to have did it an easier way, but y'all get what I'm saying. He went through a lot of different steps, even coming up with this whole fake letter talking about the COVID and all that. Like, dude went through a freaking lot, and guess what? At the end of the day, he still didn't get away with it. And also, I will say that I think the 31-year sentence is, I can rock with that. I can rock with that, being team. Now, he need to serve all 31 now. Don't give him, say he sent it for 31 and then after 15 years, y'all let him out. No, he need to serve the whole 31, but I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Let's go to the last one. What happened to Jen?
This next case was brought to my attention by the undisputed king of Asian true crime write-ups, Moondog151 over on Reddit, whose breakdown of this case was an invaluable resource. On February 23rd, 1969, 14-year-old Japanese student Jin Shoyama was sitting on his porch in Sasebo, Nagasaki Prefecture, working on crafts for school. It had been something of a busy Sunday, with Jin desperately trying to get some work finished before the start of the school week. After hitting a brick wall, he went inside and told his family that he was heading to the Tamaya department store to buy some more materials. Jin quickly put on his Hanazono Junior High School uniform and cap, for even though it was the weekend, like many other Japanese students of the era, Jin had a deep-rooted sense of school pride. He set off out the door at approximately 2 p.m. His family would never see him again. Hours later, at 6:30 p.m, a man appeared at the Shoyama household holding Jin's cap. Without hesitation, he stated, "The owner of this hat stole my money." The man was a complete stranger to the Shoyama family, and due to Japan's strict privacy laws, his name has never been made public. So for the purposes of this video, I'll be referring to him as Tanaka. Tanaka, who claimed to be a clerk at a dry cleaner's, described his encounter with Jin earlier that afternoon. At 3:30 p.m, he claimed to have seen 2 boys struggling to free their bike after its wheels had gotten stuck in a gutter. Being the good Samaritan he was, Tanaka took off his jacket, neatly folded it, and placed it by the roadside before lending the youngsters a hand. While helping them, he said that one of the boys snatched his jacket and fled the scene, and the other ran off behind him. According to Tanaka, inside one of the jacket pockets was 460,000 yen. Adjusted for inflation, that would have been between $10,000 and $12,000 today. He of course pursued the boys, managing to grab Jin's cap before they escaped. Using the name inscribed on the cap, he tracked down Jin's family and demanded compensation, but for obvious reasons, they couldn't and wouldn't pay. He left in a huff shortly thereafter. The encounter left Jin's family puzzled. The accusation seemed entirely out of character for Jin. His report card noted that he was a serious and quiet young man who served as a discipline committee member and who was trusted by all his classmates. In their mind, he would have chased down his friend and made him give back the jacket. But Tanaka's sudden appearance and story were deeply unsettling, especially since he had produced a cap that was clearly Jin's. By the next morning, Jin still hadn't returned home.
I just gotta point out, y'all, I don't know if I believe Tanaka's story. Like, seriously, man, I don't believe that. Or if the story is true, it's some details that he leaving out. Like, he done left out the freaking part that you murdered Jin. Even though, that wouldn't make no sense with his story, because he going to them like he trying to find the little boy. Like, where's this little boy at with the hat? He took my money. And then we'll go to the next part, y'all. I don't give a if some kids do rob me or take $10,000, $12,000 from me. That ain't gonna give me a reason to freaking kill them. Now I'm gonna do everything in my power to get my damn money back. If I gotta sue the parents, go to the police, do whatever, I'm gonna get my goddamn money back. But it would never flash in my head, oh, they took my money, now I need to go kill these two little boys. No, I don't even believe that story yet. I feel like we in for a curveball with this one. But let's find out.
What had arrived was a letter addressed to his father. That letter, postmarked the night of Jin's disappearance, read as follows. Dispensing with preliminaries. I'm sorry for worrying you. One of my bad friends made me steal the money. There was more than 400,000 yen in there, but I only received a little. Please tell school that I'll be absent for a while until I sort myself out. I'll return home soon and apologize. Please don't come looking for me. Jin.
See, I don't even believe this BS ass letter. I don't believe Jin wrote that. Seriously, should we believe that Jin actually wrote that being team? Come on now.
While the letter matched Jin's handwriting, his family found it extremely suspicious, and, concerned for their son's safety, finally contacted the police. Instead of dismissing the case as a runaway incident, though, the authorities agreed that something was amiss. Experts confirmed that the handwriting matched Jin's. Given the complexity of Japanese written characters, people's handwriting is far more idiosyncratic than in languages based on Latin script, and faking someone else's style enough to fool their family is no small feat. However, they did note some irregularities. The letter had been written both too neatly and too formally, using kanji combinations that Jin would have never used. For example, Zenryaku, which is how one begins a short letter, and roughly translates into dispensing with preliminaries. It's a complex set of kanji that Jin likely wouldn't have written. They also noted how he had used hiragana to write much of the letter, including his own name. Hiragana is much more simple to write than kanji, and could easily have been a sign that Jin had written the letter while frightened and under duress. Sure that Jin's life may be in mortal peril, the investigators turned their attention to Tanaka, the man who had accused Jin of theft. A quick background check confirmed that Tanaka was indeed a 24-year-old employee at a local dry cleaners. However, detectives learned that he had been released from a juvenile detention center after serving 2 years. Tanaka's criminal history raised doubts about his story, including how he had obtained such a large sum of money and why he was walking around with it in his jacket pocket. He claimed that he had hidden the money under his parents' floorboards before his incarceration, a claim that his own family denied. Tanaka's story had other inconsistencies too. For instance, he led police to the location of the alleged theft, but no witnesses, bike tracks, or other evidence supported his version of events. The idea that Jin and another boy could have known about the hidden money in his jacket also seemed implausible. Speaking of the other boy, none of Jin's friends said that they met up with him that afternoon, and no other children in the area had been reported missing. The police began suspecting that Tanaka may have randomly picked Jin off the streets to hold him for ransom. A large-scale search was quickly launched, composed of 50 investigators, Jin's family, teachers, classmates, and volunteers, all combing through Sasebo's streets, alleys, and surrounding mountains. Yet no trace of the missing student was found anywhere. Tanaka was subjected to a polygraph test, one which he passed with flying colours.
Whoa. Despite
circumstantial evidence, the police couldn't directly link him to Jin's disappearance. However, their investigation revealed another chilling detail. Several witnesses reported seeing 3 other men asking strangers for Jin's home address half an hour before Tanaka arrived at Jin's house. The police theorized that these men were likely accomplices, possibly friends Tanaka had made while behind bars. But this new information concerned investigators. This group of kidnappers could have easily just asked Jin where he lived, so why were they out searching for leads? Either Jin refused to tell them, or, more worryingly, he'd been rendered unconscious, or worse. Efforts to identify the other 3 men were unsuccessful, and the case began to grow cold. In 1973, an interview with Tanaka was published in the Asahi Shimbun, one titled Human Evaporation. Throughout the article, Tanaka, now working as a dump truck driver in Nara Prefecture, where he had relocated with his wife and children, made cryptic statements which reignited public interest in the case. When asked about the origin of the money, he responded, "It would be disadvantageous if I told you, but I suppose I'll probably have to reveal that someday." When asked how the boys would have known about the money hidden inside his jacket, Tanaka admitted, "Yeah, you couldn't see it from the outside. Come to think of it, that is strange." When asked about Jin's height, he became visibly startled, incoherently describing Jin as his own height. Jin, at 168 centimeters, was significantly taller than the short, stocky Tanaka. This introduced a new theory, that Tanaka may have not directly met or even seen Jin, and may have instead been working as a messenger for those who had taken him. The police theorized that the 3 unidentified men might have orchestrated Jin's kidnapping and enlisted Tanaka as a middleman to deliver the cap and ransom demands.
I can get with that theory too, because at this point I don't even know if Tanaka ever even seen Jin a day in his freaking life. Maybe he just freaking found the hat, or like the lazy man said, the 3 men gave him the hat to try to act as if he the one who had been in contact with him. I don't freaking know, y'all. I don't know what to believe from this story.
Explained why no direct evidence linked him to Jin's abduction. However, seeing how Tanaka never played ball, likely out of fear of incriminating himself, the police lacked enough evidence to reopen the case or pursue the new leads. No further demands for cash were ever made, and despite a large-scale investigation and widespread public interest, Jin Shoyama was never found. Who took Jin? Why did they target him? And crucially, what did they do with him? More than 50 years later, the case remains unsolved, with those unanswered questions casting a long shadow over Sasebo.
The lazy man said over 50 years later, y'all, like at this point, we all can say that Jin has passed away. And he probably passed away probably the same day that he really went missing. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if Tanaka had something to do with it or not. At this point, we can say Tanaka more than likely has passed away, or he a very old man. And like I said, I don't know if he had something to do with it or not, or he just found the freaking hat on the street and started making ish up, because a lot of his story just ain't make no sense. And I went over a lot of it, but I just stress this part too. The fact that you work at a dry cleaner, bro, but you walking around with $12,000 in your freaking pocket. What dry person who work at a dry cleaner got money like that to just have walking around in their freaking pockets? You know what I'm saying? So either you that was your day job and you had some crazy other ish going on that may have had to do with Jin's disappearance, or you're just freaking lying, bro. Like, I don't know, man. I just hate that this one right here, that one right there, being team, seem like it's gonna be an unsolved mystery for freaking ever at this point, because of how long it has been, and the 2 major people, Tanaka and Jin, more than likely has passed away at this point, or like I said, very freaking old, man. Freaking crazy, y'all. Oh my God. Yes, Bean Team. I agree with the lazy man that these ones right here make you question freaking humanity. Because if you look at that story, man, and you just think, if you wanna think, and I agree with you. I ain't gonna say I agree with you, but I can understand that if you're looking from the side that Jin did kill Jin. That said Jen killed Jen. Whatever the freaking dude named Tonica. Tonica did kill Jen. And that Jen did steal those. I don't know. I don't believe that ish. But even if you do say that, okay, he stole that ish and you killed him over that money, Tonica, you killed Jen over some freaking money, dude. Like, come on, man. Seriously, you killing a child over $12,000? That makes me question humanity, being team. The one before that, dude. That like this dude literally went through hell and high water to try to pull off this crime, going through all those different trials and tribulations or whatever the freak I was supposed to be saying to try to pull that crime off. And I'm talking about the dude who disguised himself and went into his own mama house to try to kill his father-in-law and with a crazy ass drug that he had concocted. Like, dude, really? Not only are you a freaking doctor out here, but it's your freaking mama, freaking husband, father. It's your father-in-law, man. Like, what are you doing, bro? What are you freaking doing? That made me question humanity, because the lazy man said the people out here that we supposed to be trusting and putting our trust and faith in to keep society as a whole healthy and safe and all that, and they could be using that power to do the most craziest ish. The one before that, being seen, the 6 men. I'm sorry, I still want them all to get the death penalty. At least those 6 men, man. I want them to get the death penalty. And it's crazy that the lazy man said it was like 19 dudes who actually carried out this torture. Joffrin, like, man, Zoffrin, I think that's his name. Rest in peace to him. Sad what happened to him. And it was like that game mentality of, I see y'all beating them up, so hey man, I'm gonna jump in and get me some hits too. You know what I'm saying? Just freaking effed up. Make you question humanity that all those people would be on the wrong side of that. But it was 2 dudes that did step up and try to help him out, and did help him out, and the damn gang, they tried to flip the script and claim that one of his friends was one of the ones who was actually in on it and actually had him in goddamn jail and going to trial for that ish. But I'm glad he ended up getting acquitted and was able to tell the true story, and the true story got out there and he got free, being team. The one before that, man, this one right here really make you just I don't know what to do with humanity. And I know this gonna sound crazy, and the story that I'm talking about, y'all, is the 7-year-old who just randomly walked into the RV and killed a man. I know this gonna sound crazy, man, but I was thinking about it when I was watching it. I know that life is not perfect. We all know that. It will never be perfect. But if there were just one thing I wish that could happen, or I wish was a thing, is that children would never be murderers. You know what I'm saying, man? Like, there will never be no children ever who will commit a murder until like they the age of 18. Then if they murder, or something like that. Or we can take it on down to 10-year-olds. But like, if you're below 10 or if you're 10 years old or younger, like, there was something, like some type of superpower or something from God that just prevented all kids from not committing murders, because that's where it just get hard, man. Cause I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know if he should go to heaven or hell. And I'm talking about the little 7-year-old. Should this little child that didn't know what the freak he was doing, even though we can't say he knew what he was doing. If you do the crime, you gotta do the time. I say it all the time, but boy, it is an asterisk when it comes to little kids, man. Like, should this child really face this, or should he really be able to live out the rest of his life, which he is, because he was never even charged or having to face any consequences for what he did. And so he basically is gonna live out the rest of his life. But is that the right decision? I don't know, y'all. That's why I said, man, I just wish God would just, when he created us and the earth and all humanity, man, I ain't being funny, and I know y'all get what I'm saying, man. I wish that it was just something that just blocked all kids from being able to commit murder. We got one more, man. Rest in peace to Brandon too, that lost his life in that one. But the first one, man, it go back to the damn doctor. But this time we talking about a police who's supposed to be protecting and serving and helping all us being team out here doing not just 1, not just 2, but 9 freaking murders, man, that we know about over a span of years, abusing his power to freaking commit murders, man. And it's so crazy how long he got away with it for years and years and years, over like 20 years. And then he was finally about to get caught. Before he even had a chance of getting caught, he ended up ending his life. And that's why I said I feel like he had been thinking about, if the police ever find out about what the freak I did those years and years ago, I'm gonna end my life before I even have to be locked up or anything. And there's also one more thing about it that I'm thinking about, y'all. I'm just thinking about the wife in this situation. Not even just the wife, the kids, his family, his friends. Been knowing this man for all these freaking years, and then one day it's revealed that this man is a fucking serial killer. Are you freaking kidding me? Can you imagine that being, team? Finding out one day that your spouse or your parent or your child, you know what I'm saying, man, is a freaking serial killer, and you've been knowing and loving them, and they've been loving you back, and you'll never think they will harm a freaking fly or a puppy at least. You know what I'm saying? To come to find out they done took 9 people's lives. Freaking crazy, being team. Freaking crazy. But I digress. I'm gonna go and let y'all go down, man. I appreciate y'all coming on back for another Lazy Man video. And before you leave, just please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And remember this: love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.